Are you afraid to dream big? Or even worse, do you even know how to dream big? Because of our environment, we can sometimes remain stuck or in a closed mindset, or a small town mindset, as I like to call it. We're swimming in a fishbowl when there's an ocean of opportunities at our fingertips. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is it. I call it the small town mindset. You know, if you don't leave the village, or if you don't expand your horizons, you're going to have the same dreams and goals as your parents, as your peers, as your neighbours, which are effectively no dreams and no goals. You're literally swimming around a fishbowl, hitting off the edge over and over, like this whole hamster wheel thing. You know what I mean? And there's a vast ocean of opportunities. So much. Like, you're not here to do what everyone else did. You're not here to stay stuck in your hometown, your home village, living beside your mother for the rest of your life. This is not what it's about. You know, you're in an energy of, I'm in this tiny little fishbowl and there's nothing here. And then do you see the little tiny castles they have in these fishbowls? It's like, oh, this is my dream. I'm going to live in that. And everyone in the town does the same fucking thing. And they all go to the little fishbowl castle every fucking week to drink a few beers. And it's like, this is my dream. Do you know what I mean? And everyone is the same. And it's like, if you look at, you see beyond, say there's little bushes in this little fishbowl. And one day you're like little Nemo going for a little adventure. And you go through these bushes and you hit the glass of this fishbowl. And you see outside, and it's like all these massive big fish, swimming around, and there's bigger opportunities, there's bigger castles, there's bigger dreams, and there's bigger goals, and you're like, wow, there's more out there. But I'm just going to go back into my little fishbowl because, you know, I can't do that, like, you know. And if you go home and tell your parents, oh my God, there's something outside the fishbowl, they're like, there's not. You can't go out there, you're going to die. And that's effectively what happens. It's like, do not have dreams. Do not leave the village. Do not have any goals or aspirations other than the ones that we set for you. Because, you know, what if you get eaten by a shark? Oh my God. Like, Nemo was fine. We found Nemo. You know what I mean? Like, you know, there's actually fun in the ocean. There's adventure in the ocean. There's expansion. There's evolution. You know what I mean? Like, if we're constantly, I had this image of this fish, you know, swimming into the side of the fishbowl and just go every day, because you're literally just doing the same thing every day, and you're effectively just existing. You're just crashing into the side of the fishbowl all the time, and you're not actually seeing outside the fishbowl. You're just in this energy of the zombie mode, this little puppeteer mode. Not only are you being strung along by the society, by your community, your environment, and your parents, you just don't know that there's anything else out there. You know what I mean? And like, you know, you have the opportunity every day. It's like the aspect as well of like, you know, escaping that cage. We're all in a cage. We're all in that cage, or in the fishbowl as well. And like, there's a little door to the fishbowl. There's a door to the cage as well. And where's the fucking key? It's in your fucking pocket. Do you know what I mean? And we're our whole lives, we're sitting there doing the same thing over and over again. The same things. Like, it reminds me of like sports teams. Do you know, for example, like you play sports over and over again. You play the same matches over and over again. You play the same teams over and over again. You win the same cup over and over again. And then what do you do next year? You play the same matches over and over again. You play the same teams over and over again. You win the same cup over and over again. And you're like, yay, let's do this for the next 20 fucking years. Woo! It's like when you win something, or when you achieve a goal, you know, you don't sit there and go, I've achieved a goal. What am I going to do this year? I'm going to do the same things all over again and achieve the same goal. Yes! No, that's not fun. It's like, literally, I'm going to jump this ladder, and then I'm going to stay at the top of the ladder. Then I'm going to go back down the ladder, and I'm going to climb it again. I'm going to climb the same ladder over and over and over again. Ooh, how exciting. Genuinely, it's like, what the fuck? You know, even like, so for example, you know, you're in a job, like you're a general operative. You're literally not even climbing a ladder, but you have no aspirations to move up because you think, I don't have managerial traits. I don't have the skills. Learn the skills. Or I don't, like, another thing, like, you know, instead of, you know, climbing the ladder, you go to supervisor, you go to manager, you go to boss. Or even better still, throw away that ladder and create your own ladder and become your own boss. Create your own business. And a lot of us will say, I'm not boss material, I'm not manager material. But you haven't tried, because you're in the fucking fishbowl going, I'm general operative material. And I'm going to stay general operative material for the rest of my life because I'm not going to try. And this is it. We stay stuck. We don't try. And there's a quote. It's like, you can't have £1 million mindset you can't have £1 million dreams on a minimum wage mindset. And that's effectively the same as your goals. You can't have big goals if you're in a fishbowl mindset. You know, if you're stuck in the same monotonous story over and over again, and you keep, you know, like, I'm all for people having their own dreams, you know what I mean? But if you grow into a family, for example, that lived a certain way, played certain sports, or worked in a certain corporate environment, had a certain business, the child is usually, like, you know, for farming even, you know, I need to produce an heir, so I'm going to have one son, and that son will take over the farm. What if the son doesn't want to take over the farm? What if the son doesn't want to play sports? What if the daughter doesn't want to play sports? Like, you know, there was one on television the other day. She was a footballer, and she was like, I grew up, you know, with my dad and my brother, and, you know, they played football, and my dad was a footballer, and I love football, and football is my passion. And you can see that it was her passion. But would football have been her passion if her father wasn't a footballer? Do you get me? Do you know what I mean? Like, you inherit passions. You inherit things that aren't even yours. So you have to ask yourself, would this be my passion? Would this be my goal if it wasn't my parents? You know what I mean? Are you spending your whole life following and pursuing something that's not even yours? That doesn't even, you think, lights you up because, you know, you've done it over and over again. You think that's what you want. But what if it's because you've lived in this fishbowl your whole life and there's only one little castle, and you've been shown this castle your whole life, and you're like, that's my dream, that's my goal, that's my forever. You don't know there's anything outside. And then you get to the edge of the fishbowl because you go on an adventure one day, and you're like, oh, why is there bigger castles out there? Why aren't I allowed to go see those ones? And that's what happens. Like, when I still lived in my hometown, my mentality was, I couldn't afford to go to college, so I had to work. I had to work hard. I had to do the basic work, the basic jobs. You know, it wasn't even 9-to-5 jobs. It was shift work. It was that kind of work. And I really thought that was all I had. And then I was in a narcissistic relationship, so any ambition I may have had went out the window. And he was an alcoholic, so my dream was to be in the pub every day. Really? And, like, you know, why was that? It wasn't because it was my dream to be in the pub drunk every day. It was because my alcoholic ex wanted to be in the pub every day, and because I didn't want to be on my own, and because I didn't, you know, I if you can't beat him, join him. That ended up being my dream because, well, he knocked all ambition out of me anyway. But my environment was go to the pub, sit on the same stool, talk to the same people over and over again. That's not a dream. But it was mine because it was the only thing in the fishbowl. Do you get me? And then, like, you know, you go further afield. Like, the first time I came down visiting my friend to this county, to Cork, like, I was like, whoa, look at the big buildings. They were so big, they're so shiny. I want to live here. You know what I mean? And then I moved out of the fishbowl because I saw something bigger. Like, anytime I've gone on holidays, like, I went to Amsterdam a couple of times, and you're literally going, there's so much more in the world. There's so much more to this experience. You know, and now, like, I have goals, I have dreams, I have aspirations, and I hit a goal, but then I don't stop. You know what I mean? I actually go for the next one. The next one. I don't go, oh, I've reached this goal, let's go back down the ladder and do it again. Because that's what you do in the fishbowl. You're like, I've nothing to do here now, so I'm going to go back down and do the same thing again and climb the same ladder and reach the same goal again. Why do people do these things? Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's like literally you reach a goal and you repeat. You reach a goal and you repeat. Why? Like, there's so much more to life than just, you know, that one goal. And I think that's the beauty of expansion and evolution, is that there's so much more. You know what I mean? Like, you know, obviously we have to be satisfied within ourselves, but there's always more to achieve. You know, when it comes to coaching, for me, like, you know, I don't want to just help 10 people. But when I first helped 10 people, I wanted to help 10 more, then 10 more, then 10 more, then 10 more. So you expand. That's my goal for me, is not to remain small, because I want to be big for others. You know what I mean? Like, instead of thinking I'm not good enough or there's nothing out there for me, it's not just about me. You know what I mean? If I remain, like, what am I going to do? I help 10 people. I'm going to help those 10 people again and again and again and again and again and again. No, those 10 people they're going to do their own thing and they're going to help other people. I need to help the next 10. And maybe not even 10 next time. I'm going to help 20 next time. Or 30 or 40. I keep building. You know what I mean? There's no, the sky's the limit, because there's no roof, there's no cap. Unless, well, that's the thing. But when you're in a fishbowl, you think there's a fucking lid on it. There's no lid. Just jump. Free. You know, just be free. Jump out of the fucking fishbowl. You know what I mean? And, like, people don't understand that. And I just think that's really, it's sad. It's heartbreaking, because I've been there myself, where, like, I literally didn't know there was more. And if I mentioned more to anyone that was in my environment back then, they were like, no, you're too stupid. Who are you going to achieve that? People would laugh at you for having ideas, laugh at you for having aspirations, laugh at you for having ambitions, you know, because they never tried it. They never did it. It's like, you can't go outside the fishbowl. There's fucking sharks out there. I was like, I don't give a fuck. I'd rather be eaten by a fucking shark than stay in this fucking monotonous fucking shit for the rest of my life. You know what I mean? Like, you get to a stage where you're like, I don't care. I'm going to break the fucking fishbowl. Do you know what I mean? I want to push these people out of the fishbowls. Do you know, I want to push them to their limits. And this is what we do as well. We try to encourage the next person. You know what I mean? We're actually jumping over the fishbowl, and we throw a rope back in, and the other fish are just literally looking at the rope going, I can't go out there. What are you doing? Come back. Come be small with us. You can't go out there. I'm not going to use that rope. I don't care. I don't care to look behind those bushes and see that there's more to this life, this universe. You know, now this comes into my head as well. I've said this before. Like, do you really think that behind the fucking moon there's a brick wall? That there's nothing outside of our universe? That there's nothing other, like, you know, there's always more. There's always more to see. There's always expansion. There's always something to evolve into. Always. You know what I mean? And, like, we stay stuck because we know no different. You know, like, we don't see outside of that fucking fishbowl. Oh my God, the ocean is massive. Massive. Like, you know, we have so much potential and so much opportunities that we're not even aware of. And we keep making excuses saying, maybe tomorrow, I don't have enough skills, or no, it's okay, I'll just fail, I leave it. I'd rather stay here, get to the end of my life and say, I did a goal once, and you know what I did? I did it again. And I did the same one again. And I went back down the ladder again, and I went back up and down and up and down and up and down. And it was great. I just did it all the time. Repeat. And it was like, really? Because especially if it's a thing that you've done because your parents did it, or your environment does it, or your community does it. Do you know what I mean? You have to separate yourself from everything in your life right now and ask yourself, are you doing these things for you? Would you have chosen, and I know it's hard, because when you're in a conditioned, brainwashed mindset and you've been told your whole life there's only one tiny little castle in the corner, that's all there is. And you've been conditioned to believe that's your dream, that's your goal. And because you've done it over and over again, and it feels good over and over again, you're like, this was what was meant for me. But things change. This is where pivoting comes in. Do you know what I mean? Like, oftentimes something was our purpose. Maybe we did inherit it. Maybe it was a passion that somebody else had, but you're given a reason to pivot. So, for example, back to the sports thing. You know, a sports player will play again and again, win the same cup over and over again, and they'll keep doing that until they age out. But a lot of the times they won't get to the stage to age out because they'll end up being injured, and their whole like, you know, you see this with footballers in America. You know, kids like going to college and football being their life, and then they get an injury and they freak out. They're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do now? Often they become coaches, but they don't realize straight away that they're going to become a coach. They're like, my whole life is fucking over. That's the only thing I knew. But the universe injured you, so you pivot because you're maybe it was your goal, your passion, your purpose for a certain amount of time. But if you keep doing something over and over again when it's out, it's run its course, the universe is going to do something to push you out. That was the same with the woman that I was speaking about with the footballer thing, that she grew up with a footballer dad and a footballer brother. She ended up getting injured and she had to pivot. She had to leave it. And I was just there kind of saying to myself, would that have even been your fucking passion if you weren't born into that family? Do you know what I mean? Like, and the reason you would not have left that industry unless you were forced to leave it, unless you were forced to pivot. This is the thing. Oftentimes as well, you will have a purpose, a goal, and it reaches its limit because you have to go higher. It's the same as I mentioned with the coaching. You know, my goal was to have 10 clients and to help 10 people. And then you're redirected to something bigger, something better, something more. You know, speaking, whatever it is, courses, workshops, whatever it is for whatever thing you're doing. You have to start to pivot. You have to start to expand. You have to see outside the box, see outside the fishbowl. This is so important. There is so much more. You could still use your old passion as a stepping stone to your new passion. Do you get me? If it was really your passion in the first place. If it's not actually supposed to be your purpose, you're going to be forced out of it and you're going to be forced to pivot into something anyway. So you have to keep asking yourself those questions. Was this what I would have wanted? If I didn't know, if I knew something else, if I hadn't known something else, if it wasn't the only thing in my environment, would I have chosen something else? Would I have chosen the bigger castles in the ocean to go on adventures? Or would I have stayed forever in this tiny little fish castle because my parents said, there's nothing out there? And then when I discovered there's something out there, they said, don't go out there, you're going to get hurt. Don't leave me. Stay at home forever. No, leave the fucking nest. Do you know what I mean? So this is it. Like, you know, ask yourself this question. Do you even know there's an ocean of opportunities? Do you want to know there's an ocean of opportunities? Or do you want to stay doing the same monotonous thing over and over and over and over again? Life is about variety. Life is about big things. Like, you know, this was reminded to me this morning as well. You know, it's so good to expand your knowledge, to know things about different things, right? But I've seen it on quiz shows, right? Where like really brainy scientists or archaeologists are on these quiz shows. Really, really genius fucking people. But yet they're asked general knowledge questions and they are fucking stupid. They have no fucking idea. They're actually the ones that will actually lose quizzes more often than not because they haven't expanded. They might have reached their height in their genre, in their subject, but they're still in a fucking fishbowl. Do you know what I mean? They're in their narrow fishbowl of their own topic, and they haven't expanded their knowledge. I Google everything. I Google stupid fucking questions because it's just good to know bits of everything. I know different things about different aspects of life, which none of them make sense to each other, but it's just good to expand your mind, your knowledge, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So if you remain in this fishbowl with this only one thing that you'll ever do, the rest of the world you'll remain stupid to, oblivious to, because you're not seeing outside of it. You know, I've seen this before. Parents or kids living at home for too long. You know, farmers, this has happened a lot back in the day, especially farmers in Ireland. They used to live at home with their mothers for a very long time. And sometimes the mother would be so possessive. It's like, don't leave me. You can't have a woman. The woman is psycho. The woman will take advantage. The woman will push me out of your life. You know, you can't leave, you can't leave, you can't leave. And I've seen grown men, grown farmers, effectively stupid because they haven't been allowed to leave the house and have social skills. They're even fucking creepy because they haven't actually been allowed to do anything other suck off their mother's tit effectively for their whole fucking lives. And this is what happens. You know, we need to expand. We need to leave the village, leave the house, leave whatever, in order to learn social skills, but to learn what we're good at, to evolve into other things. to pivot into other things, to climb that ladder, then climb the fucking next one and the next one and the next one, not keep repeating the same fucking cycle. So just leave the fucking village. I keep saying this to people. Leave the village. Leave the fucking fishbowl. Jump into that ocean. Take a chance. Take a risk. Do something fucking different before you get to the end of your life and you regret climbing that same ladder over and over and over again. Goals are supposed to be achieved, and then new ones are supposed to be manifested. And then a new one, and then a new one, and then a new one. It's time to expand. It's time to evolve. It's time to get into that ocean. And don't look back. Try and bring people with you if you can. But look, there's so much opportunity. There's a vast world of adventure, knowledge, experience, goals, how you can help others. You know what I mean? If you're still stuck in this fishbowl, how are you supposed to help the whole world? You can help the neighbour. That's one person. Then there's, as you know, the neighbours run out. How are you going to help others if you're stuck in this fishbowl? Get out of it, like. Just swim. Oh, what's his story say? Just keep swimming, just keep swimming. I think that's something like that. Just keep fucking swimming. You can do this. You can expand, you can evolve, you can be the best version of yourself. Don't hold yourself back and do not play small. You're meant for so much more. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. But if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today of something more than typing your path. Also, I have another channel called Aligning with Angie where I share a guided meditation every week. The info for that is in the description box.